That's life. That's what all the people
Hey, what's going on,
say.
everybody? Thanks for tuning in. Another episode of Wake Up, That's Life. May 27th, 2020. Want to do a video on something that's pretty prevalent right now in our society, and that is the unjust killing of my brother George Floyd. Saw the video, was gut-wrenching. You felt sick to your stomach to see someone slip away into eternity. Like that's so. And then not even that, but for it to drag on, it wasn't like it was a quick thing, right? A gunshot wound is, for us, it's tragic, but for them, it's lights out. But to be asphyxiated, that's a whole nother level of suffering that he must have endured, that he did endure. And listen, and I think people should be upset, frustrated, indignant. And I do think that he was murdered, and I think that it was unjust, and I do believe justice will prevail here. I know that they got released and fired, but I think that justice is going to come. And I want to give this angle for a little bit. Stay with me here. Don't be angry. I want you to disconnect your emotions for 2 seconds and let's just have a conversation. Now, I know it's a one-sided conversation, but let's have it nonetheless, okay? Let's see if we don't if we can empathize. At minimum, empathize. So I've been to jail 6 times, right? For those of you who don't know, we'll talk about it another day. And no sane person wants to do things to go to jail, let alone go to jail for a long time, which is what I think that officer is facing. To be honest, I think it's the gavel's going to drop hard on him. And if it doesn't, listen, people, listen. If it doesn't, because it might be a Rodney King thing where it was obvious injustice and yet they still got away. And this is a possibility because, listen, the justice system is broken in certain places. Not everywhere, certain places. And if that happens, the Bible says that vengeance is his and he sees. So let's give it to God, and let's just know that the word says that to fall into the hands of an angry God is a fearful thing. Fearful. So either way, justice will come down, whether it's now or later, whatever the case may be. But it's coming. That officer, I'd like to believe that he was sane enough to not wake up that morning and go, I want to kill a black guy. I think that he was overly aggressive and ignorant and just disconnected and out of touch with that moment and held on a little too long. He's probably heard multiple people that he's had in custody say, hey, my handcuffs are too tight, or little things that he knows that people sometimes just say to try to get out of things. And unfortunately, for him, he held on too long, and our brother George Floyd died, tragically. Now, the only reason I'm making this video is because I get home from a Bible study, right? I know people still do that. It's crazy. It's only been about 3 weeks, but it's been mind-blowing to me because everything we've been talking about are issues that I'm dealing with in my own life every single time. And today's study was on loving your enemy. And so with that prefaced, I get home and I see the news and I see that Minneapolis is rioting. They surrounded the police station. I saw the videos of the town going up against the police cars. They're throwing bricks through the cars. Ta, 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 ta. They're looting. And I thought, no. That's not how we create change. That's not how we make our point. You know, the word in 1 Peter says, do not repay evil for evil. On the contrary, repay evil with blessing. Verse 13 says, who is going to harm you if you are eager to do good? But it prefaces it because there's injustice. But even if you should suffer for what is right, you are blessed. Do not fear their threats. Do not be frightened. That's a hard thing to do. That's a hard thing to do because we live on a tit for tat society. Do good, get good. Do bad, get bad. Right? Eye for an eye. And listening to believers, man, we're called to something so much harder than that because, right, Jesus says, listen, if they slap you on the cheek, turn the other cheek. And I'm a man. I'm an alpha man. At least I like to believe I am. You gonna slap me? That's a problem for me. To then go, oh, get this one right here. Get this one right there. But he's calling me to it. And for me to get there, I've got to kill my pride, humble myself. And that's not an easy thing to do. But he's told me to do it. And so I have to wrestle with it. Whether I find it easy to do, whether I do walk it out, I got to wrestle with it. And so, like I said, in light of today's study and then what I'm watching, I kind of want to bring to light my opinion, because that's what it is. I mean, I'm one man in LA. Come on. I just want to say, listen, I turned 32 2 days ago. And in 30 years, you know what I've never felt? I've never felt that we were in a racist country. I've never felt that there was a prejudice against me as a minority. I've never seen me or anybody that I know or seen anybody attack any other minority in the way that we get stories from the media. Like, we get these one-off stories all the time. But then they forget to mention other stories. I'll give you an example. Chicago. Memorial Day weekend till Tuesday. 2 days ago. 73 people shot. Black on black crime, Hispanic on black crime, including a 5-year-old girl was shot in a drive-by. Where's the coverage? Where's the outrage? You know why there is none? Because it's black on black. Because it's brown on black. You guys don't find it a little odd that what does get sold to us is white on black crimes? Now, we feel that they're happening all the time because that's what you're getting shown. But if the reality was that they would really show crimes all over the country as they happened, when they happened, I wonder, would we go, oh man, all the cops really hate black people? I really don't think so, because I don't think our country is a racist country. I've never felt that way. Black people, listen to me. I think our country loves you guys. You guys dominate sports. You guys dominate the music industry. You guys are so good at everything you touch. You're naturally gifted. And your culture, right, gets woven into every other culture somehow, some way. I mean, it's universal. We love everything about you guys in essence. And to say our country hates you guys, that's weird. Now, I understand why people might think that, because listen, 400 years ago, yeah, there was something off about how we were treating people. But you know what? Good prevailed, and other men thought, wait a minute. According to the word, all men are created equal. We're all made in God's image. This isn't right. And you had a civil war. You had men that thought, we can't do this to our brothers. And you had another group that said, yes, we can. And which one won? We know which one won, right? The one that said, no, you guys are equal with us. And I go to the store and I see a black guy and I don't go, look at that dude. Some of my best friends have been black. And I'm not saying that to go, I understand black people. I'm just saying, where I'm at doesn't scream racism to me. But if I turn on the TV, I'm being told the country hates black people. Officers hate black people. You guys really believe that that's predominantly the majority of all cops? That doesn't seem unfair. What a blanket statement. Let's assume I had a black guy shoot one of my family members. Do you think that it's justified to from then on see every black guy as a threat, every black guy as that dude that hurt my family? No. But yet that's what we're doing now. But yet that's what the media wants you to believe, that officers are your enemies. Officers hate minorities. Officers only attack black people. If you look at the stats, go to the CDC. The percentage of people killed by police annually, 55% white people, 27% black people, 19% Hispanics. That's the percentage of police killing people. So it's not the majority. And here's why I think we should be weary of it, because I think we're being race baited. Word says, listen, do not repay evil for evil. On the contrary, repay evil with blessing. Because this is what you were called, so that you may inherit a blessing. Check this one out. Who is going to harm you if you are eager to do good? But even if you should suffer for what is right, you are blessed. Listen, do I think that there are racists in this country? 100%. Do I think that there's prejudice against black people in certain areas? 100%. Do I think that that's the majority of our country? No way. Not even by a long shot. I do think we get sold these individual stories to enrage us, because think about it. What is that narrative doing to us? What is that? Be honest. Let's go root, right? Let's go deep. What is that narrative? Officers hate black people. So our response to it, or the response that we're seeing get pushed out, because you know Minneapolis right now, they're rioting. So you think that it's fair, that it's just to be outraged. And so in your expression of that, you're going to enact violence on police officers that had nothing to do with that, and then loot businesses and stores that had nothing to do with that. How do you think you're making your case by repaying evil for evil? You're not. In fact, you're perpetuating this. You understand this, right? Listen, should we be outraged? Yes. Should we be upset? Yes. Should we be disappointed? Yes. But I don't think us hating cops, us repaying with violence and aggression is the answer. How could it be? All you're doing is making cops be continually weary. You're making yourself fit into the narrative and the stereotype of them that make them nervous about whatever minority group that it is that they're nervous about. Listen. Is it annoying and unfair sometimes when you can feel a prejudice against you? Sure is. Sure, believe me. But I know this. And I know this. See, I was raised to respect my elders and authority. And if I didn't, I got the belt. Maybe you guys are in a different time where that's frowned upon. Whatever. We'll talk about that later. But if you were raised with that mindset and a cop comes up, and I feel that there's a prejudice that's unfolding, then so be it. Sir, where's your... My pride is going to get me in trouble. Show me your ID. You cannot see my ID. Why are you going to... Listen. All right, officer. You want to be king for 5 minutes? Here you go. Here's my ID. Here are my hands. What would you like me to do? You de-escalate the situation by killing your pride, letting them do whatever they want to do, and then you have the sweet, sweet satisfaction of having them feel stupid when they realized they had no reason to question you. They had no reason to go against you. And you know what you've done? You've now dropped the seed into them. So when the next time they do that, they might second guess themselves and go, maybe they're not doing anything. But when you go, no, what, and you react, you're repaying evil with evil, and it gets aggressive, and then someone's going to act stupid. Someone's going to do something that they regret, and then we have what's happening now. You have a tragedy. And I'm saying this because, listen, I'm very opinionated, man. I'm very prideful. I don't like being told what to do. Believe me, okay? When I was in the Army, I would get smoked so bad that I was able to get, the Physical Excellence Award, because I was constantly having to do push-ups, because I was always being insubordinate, because I hated people telling me what to do. So I understand that bucking up against authority. But what I'm saying is there's wisdom in knowing when to submit. And it doesn't make you weak. Listen, I want to give you guys this word that's in the word called meek. Okay? It says, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the kingdom of God, right? Meek, the best explanation I've ever heard. Sorry, I feel like standing because my legs hurt. The best explanation I've ever heard of meek is power under control. I'll give you an example of this. You think that you are controlling a horse with a little bit in its mouth, little 1-inch strap of leather. You think your little 160-pound frame is controlling that 2,000-pound animal? That boy will buck you off in a heartbeat. But you know what that horse is being? He's being meek. He's going, fine, you can control me. There's far more power in that than there is in you trying to flex. Now, I love my boys in blue. Here's why I love them. Step out for 2 seconds. Step out of your hate. Step out of your presumption. Step out of the narrative that the media is trying to feed you. Because again, they will only cover these black on white crimes. They won't cover the rest. They won't. And you know that they're more. They prevail far more than these one-offs. And these one-offs, because they get shown to us every other week, we think that's the majority. No. You work at Starbucks. You wake up, put your outfit on, you work. You work at Chick-fil-A, you work, you put your outfit on, you go to work. You do car insurance, same thing. And you just go to work. That's it. If you're an officer, you got to wake up. You look over at your family. You go to your kids and you kiss them goodbye in a way that's different from normal people. You know this, right? And you know why. What they go to work to do, okay? The Bible says that he's implemented these government and authorities over us to push back, keep back darkness. They go to work knowing that what they're constantly coming across is evil manifested. They come across murderers, rapists, serial killers. That's what they deal with. And they've chosen to do this. They kiss their kids goodbye knowing they might not come home. Their wives knowing that they're marrying someone who might not come home. That's insane. Not insane in the sense of they shouldn't do it, but that's a crazy reality for them to do. I've been to jail 6 times. I know. Talk about it later. I've been to jail 6 times. And you know, while I was in there, you know what I would think? Oh my God. I'm so happy some of these fools are in here. Because I would be terrified walking around society with these men that have no conscience, that have no problem taking your life because it's invaluable. It has no value. They have no problem stealing from you because what's yours is theirs. They have no problem taking advantage of your body because they can. That's crazy. You get this, right? And so listen, to be a police officer is an honorable thing. The respect that the respect that they should have needs to be earned 100%, because there's good cops and there's bad cops. Like there is good and bad in every venue of life. I worked for an insurance company when I was younger, and they wanted me to be shady. So that's a shady insurance agent. And there's good and bad in everything. That's what I'm trying to say. But to put a blanket statement and go, all cops hate black people. You've got to admit that that's ignorant. Come on. Listen, if a black dude kills one of my family members, do you think it's just or fair for me to go, all black people do this? No, how ignorant do I sound saying that? It's the same with cops. Cops at the forefront, what they're doing, what they're swearing an oath is to uphold the Constitution and the rights of people and to defend and to be there for the weak and vulnerable. That's the role. I've dealt with cops multiple times. And you know what? Every time I've spoken to them with respect and humility, it was hard for them to continue. They always start that way. I'll be honest with you. They've grabbed me aggressive. Oh my God. I remember one time they grabbed me and they threw me to the ground and they scraped my face against the asphalt. And I was like, oh my. And you know how I de-escalated the situation? I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? Okay. Yep. I'm in a cop car. They open the door. What's your name? My name is Daniel. Officer Stevens. Listen, I just want to apologize, man. I wasn't trying to. I'm just a little frustrated with this, man. I respect what you guys do. They close the door. They come back. And they begin to talk to me as a human. Listen, if a cop starts to talk to you and you can feel the prejudice, leave the pride at the door. Humble yourselves for a couple seconds. Remember this word meek. And let them be king for 2 seconds. Fine. Okay, officer, you want to be king? You want to feel like you're in charge? You want to enforce your power and your will over me? Sure. Here's my ID. Here's my insurance. Here are my hands. Here are my pockets. Here's my car. I have nothing to hide. Then you get the beautiful satisfaction of having them feel stupid for assuming something about you. And that's what they did. That's what prejudice is. They assume something about you, right? And now, because you were meek, because you were humble, maybe you dropped a seed into them so that next time they come across a situation like that, they'll think twice about it because they go, you know what, maybe he isn't this person that I thought he was because I've been proven wrong before. And so you begin to perpetuate good habits within cops when you learn to humble yourselves for a couple seconds rather than fit in the stereotype of, they're going to be aggressive, they're going to resist, they're going to be violent, they're going to hurt me. Do what you got to do, man. Do what you got to do. And I say all this, man, because like I said, this Black Lives Matter movement is it's so one-sided, to be honest with you. You know, I know people go, all lives matter. That you don't think black lives are important enough? No. When you go Black Lives Matter, you're feeding yourself a narrative. You're pushing out a narrative that black people are disproportionately hated far more than anybody else in our country, and that's not true. Again, you guys are in every major venue, and I don't see Ku Klux Klan rallies. I don't see lynchings. I don't see none of this. Do I see certain injustices? Sure, because again, the media gives me those narratives, and I know that they're leaving out the rest of them. And so again, you've got to bear in mind that the media loves drama. They love stirring up hate and fear because that sells. If everything is happy-go-lucky, well, then everything's happy-go-lucky. Us reacting in a violent way or seeing a certain group in a violent way is a double negative. And in fact, does the opposite of what we think it's doing. We think us going Black Lives Matter, and then so we see white people or we see other people that are not black as the enemy. You're doing right now what you're saying the white people do to you. You see that, right? Listen, all lives matter is saying anybody. Because why do we keep having to go back to color? Anybody who's unjustly treated, anybody who all lives matter. You're telling me if a white guy dies by a black cop, that don't matter? You don't see how that's off? You're telling me that if a Hispanic cop kills a Chinese guy's life doesn't matter? All lives matter, man. Listen, at the end of the day, this has nothing to do with racism. This has nothing to do with prejudice. This has everything to do with the sin issue that human beings have. Now, I know that's a weird word. Oh, my boy said the S word, right? Sin, right? Because we don't like talking about it no more because we think we're 2020 and we're so past that. No. Listen, sin, all that means is falling short of a standard. And all of us have this issue. We all got a sin issue. We just manifest it in different forms. But when you think about it, listen, when an officer can be so careless and disconnected with not being able to empathize and treat another human being as being made in God's image, he's got a sin issue. When you got an officer that can stand by idly and ignore that, he's got a sin issue. When you have someone that can record this and not do anything about it, he's got a sin issue. This has nothing to do with race. This has everything to do with our hearts being wicked. And I know it's not conventional to say that. I can hear myself saying it, but it's true, man. It's true. The standard that God has for us is so much better than what we have. And it's so simple. Don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat, don't murder, don't hate, don't be jealous of other people's things. Honor your parents. You think those are bad values to have? No. But because we lack those values, we do all that's unfolding before us. We hate, we steal, we kill, all these things. And we're falling short of it because we have a sin issue. I just want to encourage us and say, listen, this is an amazing country. We have opportunities here that aren't available in other countries. Why do you think other nations want to come here? Because there's something about this country. Don't buy into this lie that this country's against you. Because when you think that, be honest with me. When you think that, what now? What's your reaction then? So you see an officer now that has never met you, has nothing to do with you. This is my enemy. Really? That's not fair. It's not fair. Listen, justice is going to be served. I feel it. I know it will be. And if it's not, if it's not, because it could happen. There could be another Rodney King situation where injustice was clearly done, and yet justice wasn't served. And that happens in certain places, not everywhere, because sometimes justice does happen. The word says that revenge is God's. And so if he doesn't get justice here, it'll come. He sees. Oh, sorry. My cat said, I thought, ooh, that scared me. I just don't think us getting our point across needs to be handled with violence and aggression. It refutes our point, and I just want to encourage us in a way that says, listen, you hating a certain people group doesn't fix anything. But you loving a certain people group, even though they mistreat you, has far more power than you reacting the way the whole world wants you to react. Today's lesson, love your enemies. And that can be anybody. That can be your neighbor. That can be a cop. That can be anybody. Learn to love them. It's so hard to fight with somebody who doesn't want to fight back. It's so hard to play tennis with someone who doesn't throw the ball back. But you want to repay evil with evil? Okay, well. And I'm not saying George Floyd did something evil, right? Now, mind you, he did a bad check, but again, that's not justified. There's just injustices that exist in the world because, again, we have a sin issue. I hope you guys are able to at least understand where I'm coming from. I'm not trying to downplay what happened to him. I'm not trying to downplay the injustice that does exist in certain parts of our country. I'm just saying I don't think that the answer to our frustration, our anger, is to react with violence. That's the part where I'm like, oh, we're off. We're a little off. And I just want to call us to something higher than that because, listen, as someone who hates being told what to do, who hates feeling like I'm being controlled, who hates any type of injustice, it bothers me. I want you guys to remember this word, meek. Power under control. And you can possess that. Doesn't make you a weak person. Doesn't mean that you submit it. Nothing. It means you're allowing them to be king for a couple seconds if it feeds their ego. But at the end of the day, you know that you're in the right. And when it's all cleared up, you will be vindicated. And it'll challenge them in secret. Shoot. And that's how change happens. It's not going to be by you throwing bricks into police cars, you hurting men and women that had nothing to do with you, you stealing from people that had nothing to do with this scenario. That's not going to do anything but continue to perpetuate this cycle of violence, this stereotype that some cops, not all cops, some cops have it. Because again, wherever there's people, there's going to be issues. Wherever there's people, there's going to be prejudices and differences because we have a sin issue. We got an issue with the heart, man. But I don't think predominantly people hate other people. Been around 30 years, man. I've lived in other countries. I've been in other states. And I've never been like, oh my God, no. You watch sports? You ever been a sporting event venue? I love seeing different cultures, different ethnicities gathering together around one cause. And I'm not trying to use sports as a stereotype. I'm just saying it's where I've seen it. And they're hugging each other, and they have one common cause. And listen, and we all have one common cause. We're human beings, and we're made in God's image. There's not a superior race. There's not a superior people. We're all people. We all have dignity. We all have intrinsic value. But when you start trying to elevate one more than the other, you're doing the same thing that you hate. I think we're better than that. I want to believe that we're better than that. And, my heart goes out to the Floyd family. And, I pray God gives them a supernatural peace that surpasses understanding. Because that's a tough one. But my heart also breaks for cops right now that are in fear for their lives. Had nothing to do with it. They signed up to get paid not well, risk their lives every day, and now because of the mistakes of one individual, they're afraid for their lives and their families. And I don't think that's fair. I think all lives matter. I don't know what you think. That's what I think. Thanks for listening. I'm out.
It's life.